Hey y'all, so I thought that it might be helpful if I kind of tried to condense all of the things that I've been learning and saying and discovering about the new Savvy Minerals Liquid Foundation into one video, hopefully a shorter video, so that you don't have to listen to me ramble on for hours about the foundation if you don't want to. And also, I think I'm gonna save this to YouTube. That way it's more easily shareable for everyone. And sorry, I'm fiddling with my hair because I just got a new haircut and I'm trying to figure out how I want it to look. Anyway, so let's just dive right on in. I'm gonna give you some pros and some cons and some tips for application that I've learned that hopefully will be helpful for you. So here we go. Okay, so first things first, the packaging. I like it. I think it looks really classy, and I like the pump aspect of it. I think that's a really good choice. So and it's very sleek looking. So I really like the packaging. It's 1 fluid ounce, which is standard for foundation. And the price point, I think, is perfect. For a higher end foundation that you would get at, say, a department store or Sephora, the price point is exactly on par with those types of foundations. So I think that's really good. Personally, I felt like the mineral powder foundation was overpriced, and especially considering how much I had to use to get to get any degree of coverage, I think this is a much better price point. I think that the pigmentation level is really, really good. Again, in contrast to the mineral powder foundation, which was very sheer to light coverage that I had to work and work and work to build up the level of coverage that this face needs. Whereas with this one, 1 to 2 pumps, you're gonna be good. I think the coverage level in general is medium to full-ish. And I say full-ish because I'm happy with this level of coverage, but I have rosacea, and my rosacea is actually better than it was. If you go back and look at my very first Savvy video, my redness is much less pronounced now than it was then, and I still get some redness peeking through. That's true for pretty much most of the foundations that I'm going to wear. I don't like super full coverage. I like my skin to look like skin, so I'm very happy with the coverage level. I'm happy that it's full-ish because my face doesn't look like, oh girl, makeup. It looks like you have really nice skin. So I love that. Speaking of the finish, it does tend to be more on the dewy side. It is not a matte foundation by any stretch of the terms. However, you can make it more on the dewy side or less on the dewy side. There are some tips that I'm going to share later, and you can do so pretty easily without it caking up on you, which is also a pro for sure. Personally, I like a little bit of a dew on my face, so I'm very happy with the finish. As far as its longevity, I think the longevity is really, really good. I went out and got a haircut today, and I had to wear a mask, and I did have to touch up when I came back, but really it was only on the spots where the mask really kind of rubbed against my face, not just sitting on my face. All of this was fine. It was just kind of like the tip of my nose and the tip of my chin where the mask kind of rubbed that I had to touch up. So I think that's really great. And I wore it for about 6.5 hours yesterday, and it looked perfect the entire time. I didn't go out in like the heat or sweat or anything. And then another day I put it on, and I actually did a workout with the makeup on. I got a little bit of a sweat going during the workout, and the makeup held up really well. So I haven't tested it in the crazy, stupid, hot Louisiana humidity in the summer, but so far I'm pleased with its longevity. And considering the format of the foundation, that it's more of a liquidy, serum-y type foundation, I'm really happy with that. Let's see. I think the shade range is pretty good. Again, I still think they could beef up the darker end of things, but that's pretty typical of most foundation ranges. The number of shades, the division of the shades, it's very standard. I think it's just the beauty industry in general could do better providing shades for darker skins, more shades for darker skins, so that they don't wind up having to buy 2 bottles of foundation to get the shade that really actually works on their skin. As for my shade though, because I'm a pasty white girl, I have a lot of selection, and this shade is perfect for me. And y'all know I'm harsh. I'm a harsh critic. It's perfect. It's perfect. I went with Buff, which is the warmer of the 3 in the kind of in the first range of shades. And I chose a warmer shade because I have redness, and the warmer, more yellow shades tend to counteract the redness a little bit, whereas the cooler, pinker shades are going to exacerbate my redness. At least that's been my experience. Okay, so shade is perfect. And I like that you can apply it and get a beautiful finish with either a sponge or a brush. That's not the case for all foundations. Some foundations have to have a brush. Some have to have a sponge. Some do better with your fingers. I don't apply makeup with my fingers because I'm too precious for that. But I've applied it and gotten very good results using both a brush and a sponge. So as far as the cons go, speaking of brushes, really quickly, I just wanted to make a little bit of a clarification. So I showed you guys this e.l.f. brush and said that it was very similar to the new Savvy foundation brush. A friend of mine actually was able to get one of the new brushes, and she showed me a picture of it next to this brush, and I was very wrong. The bristles are a little bit shorter and more tightly packed than this one is. The new brush is actually more similar to this Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. You can also find these online or even at your Walgreens for somewhere around $10-ish, I want to say. And I tried applying my makeup with this yesterday, and it did a beautiful job. So if the Savvy brush is still out of stock, or you don't want to spend all that money on a brush, this will do you just fine. Again, Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. And for setting, I would use something like Alejandro here, something very, very light and fluffy, to add the minimal amount of powder as possible, because you don't want to, the more powder you put on top of a liquid, and again, this is true for any foundation, not just Savvy, but the more powder you put on top of a liquid foundation, the greater your chance of going into cakey zone, and nobody wants that. So I apply my powder with something big and fluffy like this. Okay, on to the cons. Honestly, I only have one, and that is the pooling issue that I was having. So the first few times that I applied the foundation, it went immediately into the little creases around my nose and above my chin. Immediately. I've had some foundations that have kind of worked their way there over time, throughout the day, but not right away. And so that was a little bit of a struggle. But Christy Parker shared a little hack about using the matte veil and applying it with a damp sponge and patting it into those areas, and then applying your foundation and then setting it with the matte veil again. And I've been doing that for the last couple of days, and it works beautifully. In fact, I've had this foundation on for several hours. I'm looking. It looks perfect. So that hack works. And again, this is not a Savvy problem. This is a foundations just sometimes do this problem. It's never happened to me immediately, but you can Google online about keeping foundations out of the creases in your face or whatever, and there's tons of blog posts and videos and all sorts of things. So this is a common problem. It's just not one I had experienced before, but I'm happy to report that the hack of using the mineral veil works. So I'm very, very happy about that. That's my only con. That's it. So as for some of the tips that I've used, if you like a more dewy finish, I would say to use the sponge. Now, I don't have the Savvy sponge yet. It is coming, but this is a Real Techniques sponge, and it's beautiful. And again, you can get it at Walgreens or Walmart, I believe. So if you like a dewier look, the sponge will get you more of a dew. If you like a more matte look, use the brush. If you want an even more matte look, there's 2 other things you can do. I applied the matte veil underneath my makeup, or any sort of mineral veil the matte primer, sorry. Any sort of mineral mattifying primer will probably do the trick. Apply that first, then apply the foundation with your brush. And if you want to go even more matte, you can set it with the powder foundation. So those are some tips for application. And then I would recommend a setting spray for this foundation if you're going to wear it out in elements or for an extended period of time, like more than 3 or 4 hours. And that's, again, not a savvy thing. It's just the format of the makeup. This is not touted as a long wear makeup product. So unless it says that, unless it says something to that effect in the instructions, which it does not, just a setting spray is advisable. The other thing is to make sure that you shake up your bottle. I think that I didn't do that the first time and it was extra shiny on me. So shaking it up, and it says it on the bottle. I didn't read the instructions. So make sure you shake it up. So those are my tips. And that's everything. 10-ish minutes. Go me. Still, I was going for 5. But y'all know, I just have too many things to say. So those are my thoughts. Generally speaking though, to sum it all up, I like it. I do. And I'm happy with it. I think my skin looks great. Now that I've figured out the pooling thing, I have no issues with wearing it on a regular basis. So, ting! That's going to be the thumbnail. So anyway, if y'all have any questions or comments or anything about anything that I've shared, feel free to leave those down in the comment section and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'm going to put this on YouTube so you can share it with anybody that you know that might be interested or have questions about the foundation. And I hope that you find it helpful, and I hope that you try it, and I hope that you like it too. So I'm going to stop talking now. Just one more time. Ting! Y'all have an awesome day. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.